super excited today because I have a lot to share. Like there's a lot going on. And I have a really special guest today. So I'm excited to interview her and interview the next giant that I have in this series. There's a lot of people in my world who are coming in that are new because of all the visibility that we currently have. So I want to take a moment and just introduce myself. I'm Shameca Tankerson, and I am the founder and CEO of Shameca International, where we run events and mentorship programs that help entrepreneurs and experts rapidly accelerate their business growth. And I'm going to celebrate myself again because my company was recently named one of Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies in America. And as a matter of fact, we are number 310 on that list. So we're actually on the Inc. 5000 list. Yay! So we're on the Inc. 5000 list. And I have the actual stats because they just released it today. So today we know who's in front of us, who's behind us on the list. From 2018 to 2021, we have grown over 18,000%, actually 18,036% 3-year growth to be exact. So I am celebrating the heck out of myself today. One of the things that I realize is when I'm out in the world, people will often call me a coach or call me coach. And I just want you to understand, I'm not a coach, although I often will use that skill set of coaching when I work with clients. What I do is I mentor, I model, I lead you by example. I lead you to embody your next level. I lead you to empower you to stop trying so hard, to stop working so hard, to stop pushing so hard, to release the perpetual survival mode and unlock the deepest potential in your life and your deepest level of courage. Basically, so that you can set the old you ablaze and introduce yourself to, or introduce supernova you into the world, so that you can actually create the millions that you know in your soul you were created to possess. So we are shifting paradigms over here. I've shifted my own, going from a girl growing up in South Los Angeles to owning a multi-million dollar company who has now been named one of the fastest growing companies, privately held companies in America. We are helping people build wealth. We're helping them achieve financial goals through entrepreneurship, business training, mentorship, and community. And today we have a special guest, so I'm going to bring her on. So I want to introduce you to Stephanie, who is moving and shaking in the world. She is somebody we are watching rise in our community and embody her own supernova frequency. I am excited to bring her on and explain so that she can explain some of the pieces of how she was able to go from stuck with people who were saying, I can't afford it, right? They can't afford her services at like $5,000 to now having $48,000 clients. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. But before I do that, if you have any questions, go ahead and just start typing them in. If things start coming up for you, chat it up with us in the chat box. I'll be looking at those comments. And if we have time, at the end, I'll be able to spotlight some questions. So drop them in the comments as they come up. I'm really glad to have Stephanie here because this is what we do. We help people rapidly accelerate the growth of their business. And she has been an incredible student and has done a great job implementing some of our strategies into her business. And she's got a really cool story that I think you are going to be inspired by. So Stephanie, why don't you share with us who you are and what you do?
Hi. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Stephanie Obi. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, and I help Africans to build a new 6-figure income stream from one online course.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So how long have you been doing that?
Teaching this course or running a business?
Both of them.
I've been in business since full-time, 2014.
Cool. And the course that you're currently teaching, how long has it been around?
2016.
Beautiful. So we've had lots of conversations because you've been in the community for a while. You started out in sales school. How long have you been? Has it been a year?
No, I started in January.
Okay. So it's been like 8 months.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even doper. So it's been about 8 months. You have been in sales school. You just moved up into Play Big, which you're in that round right now. But I want you to kind of talk about the journey for yourself, where you started, what were some of the problems and challenges that you were seeing before we met and before you engaged in this community and started using our strategies?
Like, look, before I joined sales school or any of your programs, I was just, huh, how do I explain it? I felt stuck. I felt stuck, I was so frustrated because no matter what I was doing, I wasn't I wasn't growing.
Hmm.
I wasn't really growing. I was in one place for too long, and I'll come on Instagram, I'll come on social media, and I'll see all these people talk about how they were, achieving their seven figures and stuff like that, and how they were all selling, high ticket programs, and they were attracting people into their high ticket programs. I was like, how are they doing it? How are they doing it? Like, what's going on? I remember one particular incident. I paid for a program. It was $18,000. And when I got there, I saw over 300 people. I remember feeling shocked. It's like, it's okay if one or two people are paying this amount of money, but 300 people, 300, I
Yeah.
was telling my friends, 300, like, I was like, oh God, it was such an emotional experience for me because I was looking at that group and everybody in the group paid. So I was like, why can't I attract this kind of clients too? And at first I said, oh, maybe because I live in Nigeria, I'm African, maybe it's because she's white, I'm not white. Maybe, I had all these
All
different
stories. All stories.
excuses
Yeah.
around why they could do it and why I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And so it was very frustrating because I was trying everything. Shameca, I was trying everything. I was doing all the marketing strategy. Look, no matter how complicated, is it evergreen? Anything you say, I've tried it. And yet, I still wasn't getting results. And I remember feeling very frustrated. I said, has God forsaken me? What's going on? What's going on? Why can't, I was trying everything. And yet I couldn't attract the kind of clients who could pay me, high ticket fees. I was very comfortable in anything less than $2,000. That was easy. But to pass it like this, to pass it, problem,
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
I know we had a couple of conversations about this, and I think this is true for everybody. Like, you guys can raise your hand or give Stephanie a, like, I feel you, girl. If you have been that person that gets in a community and you're like, how are all these people? How do they find all these people to pay this much money? And we think that there is a type of person or some place we need to go. Like, I need to find the clients that are willing to pay that much. And I'm always sharing that it's not about finding the clients who will pay that much. It literally is about becoming the person who will allow people to pay that much and who will allow that many people to pay you that much. Like, that was one of my stuck points in my business. I wouldn't grow my mastermind to more than like 12 people because I had a belief. And that's what I want to come back to with some of the things that you were saying. A lot of those stories were your beliefs, and because they were closely held beliefs, like, oh, she's white, so it's easier for her to do it. I live in Nigeria, so not a lot of people are going to buy from me, or the people here won't pay that much. All of those things, when we anchor those beliefs in, when we have those stories, they become our reality. And for a long time, even for me, I would not grow my mastermind beyond that. I literally had to physically, intentionally work on allowing myself to allow more people into my containers. And I learned something. I used to believe that there was only two types of business models you can have in this industry, and that was low cost, high volume. So you have a very low price, and then in order for you to make money, you have to do a high volume of people, or you have a very high cost and it's boutique and it's intimate and you have a very small amount of people. Well, that belief of high cost required intimacy actually anchored in my spirit. And when I was going about building my business, I wouldn't let more people come into my container. So I had to work on rewiring and reprogramming that belief, making a different decision around it every day. In 2020, we finally uncorked it, and we went from 8 people in my mastermind to 32 people in my mastermind. And let me share what that belief was for me, because some of you may be experiencing some similar things. So it was the high volume, high volume, low price, high price, low volume, right? What I learned is you can do, which is what you saw, right? Within that community of 300 people, you can do high volume, high price.
Hmm.
Like she's like, it just hit my spirit right now. Like you, there are people in the world who are doing it, so that means it's acceptable in the world for high price, high volume, and then I just had to let it simmer and sink in. I remember talking to you, and you were like, my people, your people, my people will not pay more than $2,000. And you were booking like all these sales calls, and I'm like, if you're booking the calls, your message, you were like, maybe I need to change my messaging. I'm like, if you're booking calls, your messaging is working. That's not the problem. So we got to go down the line and see where the problem is. And I'm like, the problem is happening on your calls, which means if the calls are structured correctly, which sometimes you are not doing them in a structured way,
Mm-hmm.
but if the calls are structured correctly, then it's probably energetics, right? Or beliefs, like whatever you believe will start being mirrored back to you in your conversation. So I want to talk to you about your turning point. Like, what was the turning point for you that you where you had that aha moment where you like shifted something?
So this is a very difficult question to answer because I've had several turning points.
Mhm.
Like it's almost like I used to look forward to every new month when there's a new strategy in sales school, because as I implement the strategy, no matter what, I say, you know what, I'm just going to commit to implementing the strategy. No matter how scared I am, no matter how it feels, I would just commit to implementing it. And as I was implementing, one aha, I will have one aha, you
Mhm.
know, and then the next strategy, next month comes another aha, then the next month comes another aha. It's almost as if I was turning and then I just, so I don't know if it's almost like every month I was just growing month after month. I was growing and I was unpacking the layers, because one of the biggest things that I realized is that I had a lot of fear,
Mhm.
but I wasn't even aware that it was the fears that were holding me back. So as I just did the challenge, I will, a fear pop up. And because I'm very, on the outside, I'm very confident. I know what I'm doing. I'm going somewhere, I'm very, let's go, let's go,
Going
let's go. And I'm
places.
usually the one. I'm usually the one encouraging other people to get over their fears. So I didn't even realize the amount of fears I had hidden,
Mhm.
hidden. But as I committed to the process, as I committed, you know, month after month, I just started shifting. But I'll say the biggest, the biggest one that, Shameca, after that session, I had an intensive with you.
Mhm.
After that intensive, I just went to go and sleep. I remember telling my friend that, look, the thing I've heard today, I need to go and take it in first. Tomorrow I will wake up and I'll start. So the
Mhm.
biggest thing for me was when I had the intensive, the business model that I was using, that wasn't allowing me to receive more customers, that
Mhm.
wasn't allowing me to even price higher. It's almost as if you saw through it all. You would ask me a question, I'll be like, I don't know. This is how I thought it should be. So because it was quite intensive, all the blocks were being removed, all the excuses were being removed. And it's almost as if I had
Mhm.
permission to go and do what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
because there were ideas that I had, but for example, now to create a $48,000 product, the story I was telling myself was that, oh, it's going to be so much work to deliver that product. It's going to be so much work. I'm going to have to spend so much time with that customer. I don't want to do it, But by the time we redesigned the offer, it became too simple, too easy. I was like, this thing is too simple.
Mhm.
I'm afraid to, like, how can it be this simple? It's as if the burden just left my shoulder. It
Yeah.
became too simple. And then when I got on a sales call, I was excited to talk about it, because I was like, if I can sell this thing for $8,000, and this thing will not kill me. I was talking about it in a very excited way. And when the client said yes, I almost didn't believe it.
I love it.
People said yes, but you're like, did she really say yes?
Yeah.
I was shocked. When she even then paid the first installment, I still could not believe it. I was like,
Mhm.
what? And I remember that I left a comment. I said, I'm still weak.
Mm,
because a story I had been telling myself for years. I
mm.
just got an experience that shattered it, you
Yes.
know.
It
Ah,
takes one experience, right? One belief. One of the things is I always share that I don't like to bring clients into my programs who haven't sold their programs because it's that first sale that shatters all the other beliefs that are holding you back. So I like to have people who have at least made a sale or some sales first because that's not a big hump because once somebody buys it, you can't be like, well, nobody's going to buy this, right? Once one person says yes, you're like, oh, it does something inside of you. I was sharing this the other day that there was a study that was done like in the 1950s where they put this is a bad study, but they put rats in water and they like watched them drown, right? And they would like they swam for like 6 hours or 12 hours or something like that. And then right when they were about to give up, they can see that they were just like, you know what, I'm just gonna die. They would pull them out, dry them off, let them rest for a little bit, and then they put them back in the water and they would start swimming again. How long do you think they
interesting.
lasted on the second time around? Like, let's say it was 12 hours the first time before they
I
gave
don't know.
they 60 hours. They would just go because they had hope. They had belief. They had an understanding that if I just keep going, right?
Eventually, help will come up.
Yes, and so that first sale, that experience you just had, the reason why it shattered all other beliefs is because that was the hope that of like, oh my gosh, this can work.
Hmm.
So powerful, right? This can work. What's funny to me, Stephanie, is I'm listening to you, which I love listening to you talk, by the way, because you remind me of TikTok videos of Africans. Anyway, it's just hilarious. It's fun for me. By the way, I am 35% Nigerian, so there's that.
Oh, nice.
Um, a lot of the things that you talked about, and I want you to like expound on some of them because I think it's important for people to hear, as much as you're willing to be open, are undercurrents. See, most people are looking for the strategy, they're looking for the things they can see with their eyes to fix. That's why you were like, it's my messaging, it's my this, it's my that. But a lot of times it's the undercurrent, it's the things we can't see. We just got a sense and a feeling. You said you had so many fears that you didn't even realize you had. But once you were doing the work and being in the program, you realized they kept popping up like, oh my gosh, this is a fear. Um, the fact that you were excited to talk about your program, that's an undercurrent, right? You wouldn't have noticed, like, oh, I'm selling this other program. I don't really want to deliver it because it takes all this work. You're just doing the work of getting on a call with person and offering it. But the truth was you didn't want to sell it, right? That's an undercurrent. So I want to back up and I want to talk about the fears. What are some of the fears that were like sneaky, just lying under the surface that you didn't even realize you had? Because you're a confident woman. You are brilliant and badass. You show up in the world in an amazing way. You support your clients in an amazing way to get results. So these are like you scared, like you just said, ha. I can't even do it right. So what were some of the fears that like kind of bubbled up to the surface for you?
Okay, so the first one I had fear of rejection. So the fear of rejection is something that has just been coming up over and over again. So I will overcome one level of it, but then is my next level I have to overcome it again. So
Mhm.
because I have the fear of rejection, I don't want you to reject me. So I'll first of all reject myself before you reject me.
Mm.
And so it showed up in sales calls. It was also showing up doing outreaches. It was very difficult for me to send somebody a message. Very difficult, even if the person is trying to, hey, yes, holding a red banner. Stephanie, I need your help.
Mhm.
I was still afraid of rejection, afraid to have the conversation, afraid to engage. But then the challenge will say, ask these 3 questions. I say, okay, Stephanie, let's go, let's go. I would be shaking and
Yeah.
I would still have to ask the 3 questions, for instance. Another challenge, another fear I realized I had is fear of making offers. So even though I had a platform and an opportunity, I'll be afraid to sell. I'll be afraid to ask people to work with me because I was afraid of rejection. So that was what was really going on. But when I came into the containers, I always had to make a decision to be courageous.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, I recognize the fear, but okay, let's choose courage.
Yeah.
So this was one major fear, fear of rejection. Another fear I realized I had was fear of visibility. And it's very funny because I don't look at somebody who is afraid of visibility. I'm actually out there. I like to post on Instagram. I like to do reels. But there were some levels of visibility that I was afraid of.
Mm.
I was afraid of. There was a particular challenge where we had to get visible on other people's platforms. That scared, that scared me. My body was shaking as if I'm like, what's going on? Why am I shaking like this? But the reason I started to unpack the fear. Okay, why am I afraid of being visible? And why am I afraid of being on other people's platforms? Why am I afraid of collaboration? Why am I afraid of,
Mm.
and it made me to I sat down with myself and I now realized that these things started happening maybe 6, 7 years ago. There was an incident. I felt bad. It created trauma, and it just changed the way I acted. I was no longer, very visible on other people's platforms and things like that. And all these things, they have a way of limiting your sales or limiting the amount of money you make or limiting your ability to attract the kind of clients you want to attract because you're too I was too afraid.
Yeah.
And the scariest part of this all for me is that I did not even realize how afraid I was.
Mm.
That's the scariest part. Now the last thing is I was also afraid to own every part of me.
Mhm.
So I talk about how I'm Nigerian and I live in Nigeria. So, but when I was coming online, sometimes I wouldn't want to showcase my Africanness as
Mhm.
much as possible because I'll be like, oh, and if the people think I'm African, no, I'm African, they won't really, I had all these ideas in my mind of what would happen if people really knew I was African, and I realized it was a fear because I wasn't showing up authentically.
Yeah.
When I began to show up, when I realized that this was a fear and I began to show up, I realized that the clients who were willing to pay me any amount of money, that's even what attracted them.
Yes.
What attracted them. So fear of, stepping into my own and just owning, being myself. This is who I am.
I
This
love
is who I am. This is who I am. And, it's fine.
I love
So those 3 things were major for me.
I love it. I think that most people who are successful would not think they had any of those fears. They're like, "Oh, this conversation isn't for me. I'm not afraid to be rejected. I'm not afraid to be visible." And what was the last one that you said? Oh, I'm not afraid to be myself. I'm me all the time. And there's layers to these things. There's levels
Mhm.
to these things. What unlocks your next level? There's probably some fear associated with it, especially like the being yourself part. There's something that you said, if people really knew I was fill in the blank, whatever comes, if people really knew I was, we all have something like that. And it occurs at every level that you rise to, right? If they really knew I was this, if they really knew I was this, because we have some vision for what it's supposed to be at each of those levels. And for most people, they do not find nor have or possess the courage to move past those levels of fear. So you could be all the way confident. You have an incredible platform. You have lots of followers. You've built an incredible community and list. And yet, these were the things that were keeping you stuck where you were: visibility, rejection. You were making offers and sales, but you were only willing to make them at a $2,000 level or a $5,000 level. And so something happened where those fears, you popped the cork on those fears and you were willing to make a $48,000 offer. That shifted for you. Talk about that shift for yourself and the feeling of having the courage to go for something that big and then ending up getting it. What was that like for you?
Hmm. So I must say that even though I had created the product and I said, okay, I'm going to try and sell this product, I had an image of who will buy this type of product. The person would be like this, the person would be like that. I had an image. But the way you teach us how to do sales calls, you say just make invitations, just give people options, and don't judge anybody. Don't and so the biggest thing for me was unlearning that judgment thing, unlearning judgment, unlearning, oh, this person, I expect this person will do this. Just help people, make invitations, and so even when I was making the offer, one part of my brain was saying, you're not going to sell this thing. Another part of my brain said, just follow the process, just trust the process, just make the invitation. And so when the client picked the $48,000 offer, it taught me a big lesson, a very, very big lesson. You don't even know where the sale is going to come from.
Come on.
You don't know.
Come on.
You don't know. So just be you. Just do it. Just follow the process. Just, you don't know. So and a part of me is trying to control, trying to control the way it will be. Let it flow. Let it flow. And this is such another big lesson for me because I'm always, I want things to be done now or when I want them to be done, my own timing, but when this happened, I wasn't even expecting it to happen so quickly. I thought that, because I had the intensive with you before Play Big really started. So I thought my first sale will come when Play Big had started. I didn't expect it to come immediately. When
Certainly.
so when it happened, I was like.
So here's what I want to bring up though. You said you didn't expect. However, this is the thing. People will always say this, and I'm going to talk about the fastest path to 100K month in a second. There was no way you could have gotten that if you didn't make the offer. So people will tell me, I want to have a $10,000 client. I want $50,000 clients, but they are unwilling to be courageous enough to even make the offer. And so it was a possibility for you for it to come faster because you were willing to detach from the outcome and listen to what the person needed and make the invitation to what you thought would best serve them. And you got a yes. You could have decided from that belief that it was going to come during Play Big to, oh, well, I'm not going to make that offer until Play Big starts.
No way.
Right?
No way. I had already moved. I had shifted. Yeah.
So your ability, your willingness to go for it is the hugest component to it. I titled this The Fastest Path to 100K Months. And so I want to talk about this because you're someone like you, large community. How many people are on your mailing list?
35,000.
Say that again. I just want people to hear it. Say it again. For our American ears.
35,000.
35,000 people on her list. And then you have other communities that you've built followings on Instagram. You've got followings on Facebook and other places. 35,000 people on her list. And in her spirit, she was like, these people won't pay more than $2,000. She's been visible enough to build a list to 35,000. This is her mailing list, her email list. She's been visible enough to get that many people to follow her, to opt into her things, yet she had a fear of being visible. I hope you guys are hearing what I'm saying. New level, same devil, right? It appears at the next level. So the fastest path to a six-figure month, $100,000 month, comes for people when they raise their rates. The majority of my clients who have hit six-figure months are selling at least a $20,000 offer. the strain and the stress that you're putting on yourself to try to hit 6-figure months. Those of you who believe if you have a big list, you're going to do it. Stephanie's got 35,000 people on her list that believe that you're going to do it, from your $1,000 offer, your $500 offers. A $2,000 offer only takes 50 people. And in the scope of how many people are on the internet looking for stuff and buying stuff all day long, especially in the transformational world, there's billions of dollars being exchanged every year. 50 seems small. But the reality of it is, it's a lot easier to do it when you only need 3 or 2 or 4 or 5 to make that happen. You know, how would life change for you if, in order to do $1 million in a month, you only needed 30 sales, right? And that typically happens with the raising of the rates. In any room that I've been in, I was just in a room with a bunch of millionaires a couple of weeks ago, and person after person, and especially like one of the last ones who got up, who's running a couple of multi-million-dollar companies, said the fastest way to get to $1 million or to make more money is to raise your rates. He actually said double your rates depending on where you are. That may work, but raising your rates. So I want to talk about this offer because people are probably asking, like, what did you sell? What's in it? And you were talking about how easy it was. And even at the lower price points that she was selling, there was too much stuff in it. And too much stuff, delivery for yourself, will cause you to have this undercurrent of, I don't really want to sell it because I don't want to deliver it. It'll also cause your clients to be overwhelmed and not get results. So you don't get repeat clients or referrals. So you have retention problems. And so I want to talk about, like, you don't have to give us like everything that's in the package, but let's just talk about the simplicity of the offer against what you were trying to do before and what that did for you.
Okay, so what was so powerful about the new offer is it could be layered. No, is that the right way to say it? It's like I was leveraging.
Yes.
I was leveraging. I was leveraging. So, for instance, in this new package, we're offering our clients 4 challenges in a year. Now, instead of only offering that challenge to these 48K clients, I'm offering it across board.
Yes.
So I'm going to do the challenge anyway, and you
Yes.
get to be a part of it.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to offer this partnership call anyway, and you get to be a part of it. So it's like the things I was going to do anyway, I'm not doing any extra work. I'm leveraging now.
Yes.
And the thing is, when I was on the six level frequency, okay, 6-figure frequency, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. So the only way I knew how to create programs was, okay, this particular program, I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. This other program, I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when I had the session with a millionaire coach, you see, you get it. You were able to look at my business. It was a deep dive. Look at it from here and say, why are you doing 1, 2, 3, 4? We can do it like this. When I finished the session, my head was just blowing up. You don't when you don't know it, you don't know it. Finish. You don't know it. So you kind of helped me to create a new business model, really, where things were flowing into each other. Yeah. I saw how this level product will flow into the next level, that will flow into the next level. So if a client comes in at the high level, great. If you come in at this other medium level, fine, because you're going to flow up. I now just, how do I explain this? I actually saw my 6-figure months. I saw it. I saw it. When I had the new business model, I saw it. And something in my brain just went off. This thing is possible. I had a Thanksgiving party in my house. Dance. Shameca, everybody in my house now has a name for you. Like, we have a name.
Is that right? You're gonna have to tell me now. Tell me what they call me.
So everybody in my house calls you Sham Sham. Like, hey, what happened? I had a session with Sham Sham. So basically, my business became simplified. That's the best way I can explain it. Yeah. It became simplified. No offer is now so difficult to sell. So I no longer have this hesitation in, in my heart that, oh my God, it will be so stressful.
Mhm.
Everything is now simplified. And I guess another thing that you gave me, I saw you doing, when how you mentored me, is that I saw you create transformations without a lot of content. Now, because I'm such a giver, I I want to teach. I want to create so much content which ends up overwhelming. But when I came in your containers, I saw a different way of delivering and helping people get results without overwhelming. So also the feeling I used to have of, oh my God, I have to create content. I have to create this program, then I have to create the videos, then I have to create the this, I have to create the that. God, it's going to be so much work. I have to encourage myself, ginger myself to do it. All that energy gone. Because I now found a different way to deliver the transformation without overwhelming myself, overwhelming the client.
I love it. Simplify. Like simplification is such a beautiful thing for both you and the client. So oftentimes when I'm looking at clients' business models, if they're capped out at income, it's usually a delivery issue. It's usually, and when I look at it, I'm like, oh, you don't have room. They're like, no, I have space on my calendar. I'm like, no, subconsciously, internally, spiritually, you do not have room. You are full. Your body, your brain, your spirit, your soul is tired and is like, no. And they're like, oh, well, every time I lose a client, I'll get a client. When a client leaves, another client will come because that's the only space you have. It doesn't matter that you're like, I want 20 people in this program. You have 8 now because that's really all you have the capacity to serve. And so looking at
Mm.
how to leverage your time with also giving clients results. And most of the time we're over delivering anyway, to the degree that our clients cannot get the transformation. So I always have a lot of fun looking at business models and looking at programs and going, huh, why is that there? Click it out. Right. And just really lighting your load so that you can serve at your highest power. Because here's the deal, a lot of that, like you said, you love to teach, but really your gifting is not necessarily in the course or the teaching. It's in the spaces where they get to be transformed by you, as you're, giving your insights, your wisdom, as they're being exposed to you, all of those things. And they don't have the space to do that if all they're doing is head down being in modules and workbooks. And so we want to utilize what you already have as well. You have programs across the board. What are you doing in these other programs that could be beneficial to someone in another program? So that, again, it's one place you're going to have to be anyway, that you can move people over. So I hope somebody has been set free today uh, from this. Your transformation has been incredible. Like I said, you've been an incredible student. You show up. Sales school
Thank
has
you.
some high level requirements for checking in and doing videos, and we do the challenges every month so that you're learning and working the muscle of the skill set of generating leads and sales. And you have been an incredible student of that work and exploring yourself, right? Because people come in at certain levels and like, oh, I got this, I teach this, I got this, I know this. And you have never been that kind of student, and it's evident in your evolution. And so I want to congratulate you again for so quickly
Thank you.
moving through that transformation and getting to the place where your eyes can see what's possible for you. And I have no, you're going to kill it. I absolutely know you're going to kill it. Hey! But I do want to, Stephanie, give you, like, if you had one word of encouragement that you could give to someone who's listening, who may be similar in experience to you, what would you want to share with them?
When I first heard about you, um, BC told me about you, and at that time, I was I had gone through program fatigue. I don't know if you understand what that means. So I had gone through, because I knew I had a challenge. I had been stuck in six figures for years.
Mm-hmm.
I had been learning all these marketing strategies all here and there, and I still wasn't going past a particular ceiling. And so I was frustrated. I was tired. I had become skeptical. You know, I um I was even beginning to to doubt, like, is this my 7-figure goal? Maybe it's too much.
Mm,
Maybe I was overreaching. Maybe
mm,
maybe I shouldn't have set that goal. Maybe it's what's sabotaging me now. It
mm,
was too big for me. Maybe I should have you know, just told myself, okay, in the next 5 years, something like that. So I
mm,
had all these stories that I was telling myself, but I made the decision to just try again.
mm.
Just try again. Okay? Just try again. I kind of just encourage myself, let me just see. You
Yeah.
never know. And so my experience with Shameca has really been a journey because I did not know what I did not know. I was trying so many different things that were not working. And I kept saying, there is a problem. I don't know what the problem is, but there's a problem somewhere. I need to find what it is so that I can start solving it. Now, so to anybody listening who feels that way, that I don't feel like I might meet my goals. I don't feel like I can. I've tried everything. It hasn't worked. Obviously, there's still something. There's still something. In my case, it was my energy. I had never ever heard anybody talk about energy before. I had never ever heard about talking about, you know, all the things that Shameca talks about. It was like strange in my ears because I knew funnels, this one, that one, hardcore things. So, but
Yes.
the things she talks about were a bit intangible, and they've been the biggest changes for me. The biggest things for me. So I just want to encourage you that it's not over yet. Okay. And I know that you feel like I'm tired, but it's not over yet. It's not over until you say it's over. I was
Mm.
willing to allow myself to try again, allow myself to go on this journey again, and just trust the process. And I'm so grateful for that decision. I keep telling BC thank you every day because that's the introduction, the decision I made to join and to just trust the process, follow through, go on this journey, has led me on an amazing journey. I know I'm going to be back here in this case study again to share another case study of my 100K month. I know. I'm very certain about that. But it all happened because I allowed myself to try again.
Yeah.
Just and it's not over yet. So let's try.
I love it. That's such a beautiful story. I can see a similar journey in my own, like trying things over and over again, investing in programs after program. And there comes a point where you're like, should I just throw in the towel and figure this out on my own? Because we're brilliant and smart. But I always knew for me, there was always things too that were missing. And this energetic conversation that I have about wealth energetics, I mean, energetics is a real thing. I'm a God girl, right? I'm a bona fide Bible thumping Christian. So one day I met somebody and they were like, since you're not really like religious, and I'm like, well, I don't know what you mean by that, but I carry a Bible and I will use it. And so it was tough for me to begin to introduce this conversation, but I began to flip through God's word. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's always been right here. It is, and I think what was easy for me to make that transition is the word was in my heart, it was in my spirit already. And so when I see those things and the connections are made, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a scripture I've been saying since I was a kid, right?
Mm.
It's so beautiful. And I just want more people to understand the way that God created the world and how it works all together in symphony and in tangent. And it makes life so much more easy for you. The manifestation of your goals, the willingness to, or the ability to pull down on courage is so much easier when you're not fighting against what was already defined, the systems, the laws, the way that things work, how we're all made up. It's such a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing that. I salute you for trying again because that's not an easy thing to do, right? It's hard when you've tried again and again and again and don't feel like you've gotten the results that you desire. I was going to ask you what you felt like was different about this community, but we'll table it. It doesn't really matter. What matters to me is I know this: when people are called to me as a guide, as a mentor, this space in this community, there is a knowing in their spirit and in their gut. The only thing that usually gets in the way is fear. and their brains. And so I always want to encourage you to trust your knowing and just move, because that's when we start collapsing timelines. That's when we start moving stuff out of the way that we have been tripping over for the entirety of our lives. And it's like we are seeing with new eyes. Period. End of discussion. Stephanie, thank you. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Thank you for sharing so willingly your own journey. And again, I'm celebrating the heck out of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to the next time that we connect on a case study where you come back and share with what's next for you. What's next for you? I can already see it. I can feel it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. We will see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment. Like right now. I'm not going to stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously.